Thank you. I hope you all had a nice lunch break. And my name is Eriko Takahashi Best, and our presentation today is going to be on teacher development for in-service teachers through classroom observation. So first of all, I would like to give you the overview of Weekend Japanese School. There are over, there are over 200 Japanese schools in the US. Japanese language schools hold classes on weekend. Some schools have all-day programs and others have only half-day programs. These schools borrow classrooms or campus from local schools and colleges. When the school has a large enough number of students, Japanese Ministry of Education dispatches principals from Japan. Thus, it means that Saturday school operation is supported by Japanese government to nurture global citizens that who would contribute to Japan in the future. The families who come to school are generally the ones who are in the States for a limited time, maybe around 3 years, for business or research purpose. Other families don't have intention to move back to Japan. So these are the core parts of the Japanese school that all the Japanese schools, weekend Japanese schools have in America. And these numbers are the students' numbers in the department. So the school I work for is founded in 1980. We borrow campus from a private middle school, high school in the suburb of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The core program of the school is elementary and junior high. And the curriculum for this program is the same as the one in Japan. The goal is to prepare students up to date with the Japanese curriculum when they move back to Japan. And what is unique about my school is having a heritage language department. The students in this department have Japanese heritage background. The curriculum is to learn Japanese as heritage language in 100% immersion approach. Finally, this is where I work, adult course. In this program, American students learn Japanese as a foreign language. It is unique to have this program as a part of Japanese school. Japanese language classes like this is often offered by local Japan-America Association in many big cities. So let's take a look at the adult course a little more deeply. So we have 4-year program. And the adult course program doesn't have formal assessment because the school is not an accrediting institute. The curriculum includes to learn both language and culture. The language curriculum aims to learn all 4 skills: speaking, listening, reading, and writing, using the popular textbooks for college Japanese. For learning culture, these are the snapshots from annual culture workshop. We invite local Japanese experts for the workshop. The most significant advantage of a program is learning Japanese in the community. Students have opportunities to interact with Japanese students and their parents. For example, students go about the campus to interview Japanese parents. Sometimes we have joint events with the children, playing games and quiz show together. The students have various purposes to learn in our program. Some students have chance to use Japanese for business. Others have traveled or wish to travel in Japan. So we have a very mixed body of students gathered with the interest in learning Japanese. So these This is the issues the school has. Their issues. Some might be common issue for weekend schools in general, and possibly for full-time schools like yours. Many issues stem from the fact that the classes are held only once a week. Time and space is our biggest restriction. The facility, we rent campus from a private school, which is designed for a small classroom, about 15 students per room. So sometimes we have issues just fitting in the number of students we want to have in a classroom, or we are restricted to move desks and chairs, things like that. And in this presentation, I would like to focus on the teacher development because it is a big issue for us, and it is something we can improve on our own without involving many stakeholders and the funds. I also think this could be a common issue across different contexts too. For us, teacher development is crucial because most of the teachers have limited formal educational background. The principal hosts training sessions several times a year, but it is not enough. The teachers have external and internal sources for professional development. As for the internal program, there used to be a strong presence of the department director, who was also the founder of the program. Back then, all the teachers reported to her, then she gave feedback and advice to each teacher. There wasn't much peer coaching among teachers. After the director retired, it was clear that we should have a new internal teacher development program, particularly the kind we could use the knowledge and experience of all the 5 teachers we have in the department. In March 2021, we had our first attempt. When we were doing online classes, we had our first attempt for the classroom observation using the Zoom recording. 5 teachers, including myself, conducted classroom observation using video recordings. With face-to-face format, it was difficult to find substitute teachers for such class observation, which was the main reason we didn't do much before. Taking advantage of online format, we were able to see each other's virtual classroom, and there are positive outcomes like this. We just shared the videos and gave feedback to each other. We had the good outcomes like this, but there are areas for improvement. The teacher didn't know what to look for, because there wasn't really a checklist or anything, and I felt like some teachers were hesitant to point out the areas to improve, especially towards the more experienced teachers. Then I learned more about classroom observation and lesson study in this MAFOT course. So they sounded attractive in terms of cost and enhancing face-to-face coaching. So this is the procedure for peer observation. Many resources recommend a pre-observation meeting, and the post-observation debriefing is recommended to be done as soon as after the meeting. And TEL projects that we looked at during the earlier module in the course have a good format, good observation form you can download. And another method is lesson study. When I first learned about lesson study, the difference between classroom observation and lesson study was not very clear to me. I have a YouTube video I want to show. I hope that works. Oh, good. Okay.
Lesson study is a process whereby teachers as a team collaborate, develop a lesson that one of those people in the team volunteers to teach, and it's taught, it's observed by the other people in the team. The team comes back, has a discussion around it, what worked, what didn't work, what they think might need to be changed, and then another volunteer from that group reteaches the same lesson with its adjustments to a different group of children, and then the observation and discussion is had again around that. The team leaders were the first people to do the lesson study and be the person to teach the lesson, and that way everybody felt it was okay. Lesson study is a very non-judgmental strategy to use. It's not about the teacher because the lesson is developed as a team, and it is a team effort, so it's around the strategy itself. It's not the teacher, it's not individualised. We're not looking at the teacher, we're looking at the strategy, we're looking at the things that are happening in classrooms to improve student outcomes.
Can everybody see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so yes, I really like the video because they explain the principle or the spirits of the lesson study. The quotes I really liked in the video was the develop as a team, non-judgmental, looking at the strategy, not at the teacher, observation as a starting point for a broader conversation. I really liked those concepts that was explained in the video. And for the procedure, step 1, lesson plan as a group. So the teachers in the department or team make a lesson plan together. And step 2 is the first classroom observation. Lesson is led by the leader teacher. And step 3, observation discussion. And step 4, again, classroom observation again. So another teacher teach the lesson using the lesson plan from step 3. And they have step 5, final discussion. So the final discussion outcome is shared with the other teachers in the school or more people. My sister in Japan is an elementary school teacher. She teaches 5th grade now. And I asked her if they do lesson study because lesson studies originated from Japan. So she actually knows about this. And she was like, yeah, we do this several times a year. That could be a little bit much. But she said that they do it several times a year. But the procedure is not as thorough as this one. They would normally do only up to step 3. That might be sufficient in some context or some topic, depending on how much time or the energy they have. So in my adult course department, we had attempts to early November. So we conducted our second classroom observation using the video recordings again because we are still teaching online. Unfortunately, I didn't learn about lesson study before implementation, so we couldn't fully use lesson study procedure, but we tried to incorporate the essence of lesson study, such as not being judgmental and develop as a team. So it was explicitly explained to the teachers this time. So before watching the class video recordings, each of the teachers shared in writing their goals and what they tried to emphasize in their classroom. The observers watched the recordings using the TEL project's feedback form as a guideline. After the observation, teachers gave the feedback individually to the teacher with the feedback form, and we had the group debriefing. We discussed what was good about it, or what's the common issues with their own classroom, things like that. And as described in the video, we were able to achieve broader conversation with this attempt. Our group debriefing led to active conversation to discuss effectiveness and issues in our lessons. So this is my last slide, reflections and perspectives. So the teacher's response this time was very positive. Some teachers said the checklist was very effective. New teachers should use this guideline for lesson planning. It was very good. We had a meaningful discussion about teaching. So through this attempt, I learned that giving some framework really helped to bring out the teacher's expertise and the perspectives, and it led to meaningful discussion. I realized the video recording was a solution for not being able to get substitute teacher. The technology is the key to implement classroom observation regularly in our context, and I would like to use that better in the future. So that's it, and this is my contact and the reference. And I have some Google Forms to ask you some questions if we have time, and I think I do. So let me share the screen. One moment.
Does anybody also have any questions for Eriko?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I think having the checklist is key, because oftentimes I think people go observe a colleague just to check a box, but there's no guidance, and so you just kind of go and maybe jot down what you see without really knowing what you're looking for. So I think having a focus when you walk in is really key. So that checklist is
yes, that worked really well this time with our second attempt. Yes, that really gave us the guideline, what to look for, and that was so useful for the discussion afterwards too. Yeah. So I shared the link to the Google form. Can you go into that?
We need permission to access that Google form.
Oh, shoot. Oh, let's see. I'm having so many.
Could you also resend it? Teams kind of, I don't know, it glitched out on me or something, so it wasn't working. So I left, and I guess I came back after it was already sent.
It works for me. You might have to be signed in the browser with your MSU account for it to open, because when I click on the link, it opens for me.
Oh.
And it automatically recognizes me.
I thought joining the survey doesn't really need the authentication, but
I think you have it checked. You have it set to require notification.
right. It's not opening for me, so I'm going to see if I'm.
Okay.
I have so many.
It's working for me. I just clicked and it just took me right there.
Well, maybe I can screen share the Google questions, the question on the Google form I have, and without using the actually like pushing the buttons. Can you see the Google form that I made? The questions?
Yes.
Okay. I got one response from somebody who could actually get in. But so my question to you is, does your program have internal professional development opportunities regularly? it's hard to answer. But what do we only have Anna, Eriko, and Mari and Megan. How do you answer to that question? How would you, as Mari, would you answer to that question?
I would say some. So it's not a lot of internal professional development, but we do every once in a while, we'll have a speaker or someone come in, especially now that we're trying to move into proficiency-based teaching. So yeah, we have some.
Okay, so it's more like some speaker comes in and you participate, kind of.
Right, but not much where the teachers share with the other teachers necessarily.
Okay, I see. Thank you. Yep. The second question is, what could be the barrier for professional development? Time, teachers are not cooperative, not having a framework.
I wish there was like multiple choices. I mean, I think all of these apply. Honestly, it was so hard for me to choose one.
Okay, so
of course it is time, and also not everybody is really, cooperative too.
I see. Okay. How about you, Anna?
I think time is always an issue.
Yeah, for everyone, I guess. Yes.
And also, I think in my context, we have 6 Chinese teachers at our school, but we're all teaching different grade levels. So we're all teaching different content. Even though we're teaching Chinese, it's all different science and math content and different language proficiency levels. So I think sometimes we get in the mindset of like, oh, I'm teaching something different than you. What you're doing doesn't apply to me. And so I think we kind of fall into that trap of thinking, oh, we're not teaching the same thing. We can't share what we're learning.
I guess with the limited time, you just kind of stick to your partner teacher.
Exactly.
Yeah. I see. Thank you, Anna. And number 3, what kind of professional development did you have last year? Last year was kind of a different situation from other years, but anybody have answers?
We did not really have a lot of PD. I mean, we'd have like staff meetings here and there, but I wouldn't really count that as professional development. I honestly can't remember one day of having professional development during last year.
Okay, so it was less than regular years.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, very much.
We had a lot of webinars, and they were optional because they were in the summer. So when we closed down March 2020, we went asynchronous. So we did not do any face-to-face teaching. Everything was just videos and lessons that we would push through. So that summer, before we came back in the fall, there were a ton of webinars that teachers had access to, and they were all internal. Like, how do you do Google Classroom? How do you use Pear Deck? How do you use Nearpod? How do you create a Emoji Classroom? And so the district did a really great job of providing so much information that we couldn't go anywhere anyway. So everybody was at home and you could just go to the webinars. And they were mainly in the summer because once school started, then it was like full speed ahead and we didn't really have time to do anything. But so I guess it would be the year, but just in the summer.
Yes. So there are a lot of technology webinars in the summer, the same here too.
All of them were technology based, yes, because we knew we were going to be remote going in.
Yeah, we needed to do that. So
I think that's all the time we have. We're running out of time. So thank you so much, Eriko, for your presentation. And we'll have a couple of minutes break before the next session.